overcoming what we've
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. The Vail Symposium's motto is thinking globally, convening locally. And joining me in the studio is Dale Mosier. He's the chairman of the board of directors for the Vail Symposium. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning, Claire.
Thanks for joining me today. You have a really diverse array of programming, and the next 2 days you have a very provocatively titled program.
We do have a provocatively titled program, and obviously with the titles you try to create interest. But this is a program that we started probably about 1.5 years trying to pull together. And when you looked around the world and you said, there are so many changes geopolitically, so many issues up in the air, and we wanted to do a program, and our traditional format is to have one really high-level speaker or maybe a panel talking about particular issues. But in this case, we felt we would really go overboard, and we went out for 4 world-class speakers that were at the top of their game to talk about various sectors of the world. And and we have been able to do that. And the 2 tonight, one is going to talk about, in essence, what's happening with democracy around the world. Are we supporting dictators, not supporting dictators? Are the country populations supporting dictators versus democracy? Because we've invested a lot of money as a country in our form of democracy. And then the other speaker is a very high-level person talking about Europe and what's the relationship with NATO, what's going to be happening with the interaction with Russia as Russia tries to become more dominant in the European scene. And just a lot of very interesting subtopics within the topic.
Well, even her speech, Is Europe Falling Apart, is also a provocative title, because I think most people don't really know what's going on in Europe and assumed everything was relatively even keel over there. So it'll be very interesting to see what she talks about in terms of European governments and how things are changing. I'm sure the migrant crisis will figure into that speech as well.
Oh, absolutely. And Russia is geographically part of Europe, but not necessarily politically,
yes.
Historically. And now they're trying to increase their influence, and it'll be a very interesting discussion tonight.
And then tomorrow evening you kick things off with Ambassador Christopher Hill, talking about China and China's role in the future.
Yes, we do. And he is, we've had Ambassador Hill at Vail Symposium several times over the past 5 years. And he is just a very knowledgeable, engaging speaker, and the topic is on the front page of most newspapers every day, because what's happening in South China Sea, what's happening with the TPP, and it's falling apart or now being replaced. So just a lot of very interesting topics to be covered there.
And then I believe your last talk is really kind of a wrap-up of the world order in this day and age, as things are changing, both technology, but also alliances seem to be shifting as well. And countries that are really starting to emerge and maybe take their place on the world stage, like China and like Russia.
That's correct. And what is happening with respect to the U.S. role? Are we diminishing our role? And then does that create a vacuum, and what happens? And it's the second or the last presentation tomorrow night is not intended to be a wrap-up, but it's sort of, in that sense, talking about what is happening all around the world and trying to link it all together in some kind of sort of integrated thought process. Not that there is any kind of integration that's truly happening geopolitically, but it's going to be a very interesting worldwide discussion.
It is. It's going to be fascinating and thought-provoking. Dale, thank you so much for coming on. I think we'll talk to you tomorrow a little bit more about this as well.
And I'll be able to relate what happened tonight.
Great. Thank you so much. We've got to take it over to Maddie. She's got your weather forecast.